Why would anyone scream at a kid just trying to deliver a pizza? The question hung in the air like a storm cloud over Maple Street, where Karen Mitchell's voice boomed through the quiet suburban evening. She stood on her porch, her oversized frame casting a shadow over Tim, an 18-year-old delivery driver for Tony's Pizzeria. His bike leaned against her mailbox, a pizza box trembling in his hands. Karen's face was twisted in disdain, her eyes narrow and venomous. You call this a pizza? It's cold, and the toppings are sliding off like you dropped it. She bellowed, though Tim had pedaled straight from the shop, barely 10 minutes away. He stammered, "Ma'am, to swear it was hot when I left. I can get you a new one." But Karen wasn't listening. She jabbed a finger at him, her voice rising. "You're incompetent. I'm not paying for this garbage." Neighbors peeked through curtains, drawn to the commotion but too wary to intervene. Tim's cheeks burned, not just from embarrassment but from the sting of her words. He was new, barely a month into the job, saving for college. He didn't deserve this. Karen's tirade didn't stop at insults. She snatched the pizza box, flung it open, and shoved it back at Tim, sauce smearing his uniform. "Take this back and tell your boss I want a refund and a free order. Do you know who I am? I'm a regular." Tim's hands shook as he clutched the box, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'll talk to my manager." But Karen stepped closer, her bulk intimidating, her voice dripping with scorn. "You'd better, or I'll make sure you're fired by tomorrow." The threat landed like a punch. Tim, barely holding it together, nodded and pedaled away, the weight of her words heavier than the pizza box. Back at Tony's Pizzeria, he slumped in the break room, recounting the ordeal to his manager, Rosa, a no-nonsense woman who'd run the shop for a decade. Her eyes narrowed as Tim spoke, her fingers tapping the counter. "That's Karen Mitchell, isn't it?" she said, her voice low. "She's done this before." Rosa knew Karen's type: entitled, quick to complain, and always demanding freebies. Last month, Karen had berated a cashier over a missing side of ranch, claiming it ruined her meal. The time before, she'd screamed about a late delivery that arrived in 20 minutes. Rosa had comped her orders to avoid online rants. But this time felt different. Tim wasn't just an employee. He was a kid with a good heart, one who'd stayed late to help clean. Rosa pulled up the shop security footage from the delivery van's dashcam, a recent addition after a string of customer complaints. The footage was grainy but clear enough. Tim loading a steaming pizza, biking straight to Karen's house. No stops, no drops. Rosa's jaw tightened. "She's lying," she muttered. "This stops now." The next morning, Rosa called Tim into her office. "We're not letting her get away with this," she said, her voice firm but kind. "I'm contacting corporate, and we're filing a report. You don't deserve to be treated like that." Tim hesitated, worried about escalating things. But Rosa's resolve was unshakable. She drafted an email to Tony's regional manager, attaching the dashcam footage and Tim's account. Word spread among the staff, and soon, other employees shared their own Karen story servers she'd mocked, drivers she'd shortchanged. A pattern emerged, one Rosa couldn't ignore. She decided to confront Karen, but not alone. She reached out to a local lawyer, a regular at the pizzeria, who offered to review the case pro bono. The lawyer, Elena saw potential for a harassment claim, especially with the footage as evidence. This isn't just about one pizza, Elena said. It's about accountability. By noon, Rosa had a plan. She'd call Karen to inform her that her next order was canceled and that she was banned from Tony's Pizzeria. But first, she needed to gather more evidence. She dug through customer complaint logs, finding a trail of Karen's outbursts stretching back years. One entry stood out, a driver named Sam, who'd quit after Karen accused him of stealing her tip. Sam, now a college student, agreed to provide a statement. The twist came unexpectedly when Sam revealed he'd recorded Karen's rant on his phone. A shaky audio clip of her screaming, "You're nothing but a lowlife delivery boy." The words echoed in Rosa's mind, fueling her determination. This wasn't just about Tim and Maria, it was about every worker Karen had demeaned. Rosa felt a surge of purpose. She'd make sure Karen faced the consequences of her actions. Not just for Tim, but for everyone. Rosa's call to Karen was calculated, her tone calm but unyielding. "Ms. Mitchell, this is Rosa from Tony's Pizzeria. Due to your behavior toward our staff, your recent order is canceled, and you're no longer welcome at our establishment." Karen's response was immediate, a screech through the phone. "You can't ban me. I'm your best customer. I'll sue you for discrimination." Rosa held her ground, her voice steady. "We have evidence of your actions. Ms. Mitchell, I suggest you reconsider your approach." Karen hung up, but Rosa knew this wasn't over. Sure enough, within hours, Karen stormed into the pizzeria, her presence filling the small dining area like a thundercloud. Customers froze, forks hovering over their slices. Tim, working the counter, paled but stood his ground. Rosa stepped forward, her apron stained with flour, her eyes locked on Karen. "You need to leave," she said firmly. Karen smirked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Or what? You'll call the cops over a pizza." The tension crackled as Karen leaned over the counter, her finger inches from Tim's face. "You're the one who messed up my order, kid. You're lucky I don't drag you out of here myself." Tim's hands clenched, but he didn't back down. Rosa signaled to the back, where Elena, the lawyer, had been waiting, having anticipated Karen's reaction. Elena stepped forward, her briefcase in hand, her voice cutting through the room. "Ms. Mitchell, I'm advising Tony's Pizzeria on this matter. Your behavior constitutes harassment, and we have video and audio evidence to prove it." Karen's smirk faltered, but she doubled down, her voice rising. "Evidence? You're bluffing. I'll post this online and ruin your little shop." That's when the twist hit. Sam, the former driver, walked in, holding his phone. "I don't think you will," he said, playing the audio of Karen's vicious rant from 2 years ago. The dining area went silent, customers exchanging shocked glances as Karen's own words echoed, "Lowlife delivery boy." Karen's face reddened, her bravado cracking. She hadn't expected her past to catch up with her. Not like this. Elena laid out the facts, the dashcam footage, Sam's recording, and statements from multiple employees. "You've harassed staff repeatedly," Elena said. "We're prepared to pursue legal action for workplace harassment and defamation unless you cease immediately." Karen's eyes darted around, searching for an escape. but the weight of the evidence pinned her in place. Customers began murmuring, their phones out, some recording the scene. Karen's arrogance withered under their gazes. She opened her mouth to argue, but Rosa cut her off. "You've bullied our staff for years, Karen. It ends today." The standoff felt like it stretched for hours, though only minutes passed. Karen's shoulders slumped, her voice dropping to a mutter. "This is ridiculous. I'm leaving." But as she turned, Rosa added, "And don't come back." The confrontation didn't end at the door. Karen's threats to ruin the pizzeria materialized that night in a scathing online review, accusing Tony's of discrimination and poor service. She posted on every platform she could, her words venomous but sloppy, riddled with exaggerations. Rosa anticipated this. She and Elena had already sent the evidence to corporate, who approved a public response. Tony's Pizzeria posted a statement on their website and social media, carefully worded to avoid legal pitfalls but clear in its message. They valued their staff and wouldn't tolerate abuse. They included a redacted clip of the dashcam footage, showing Tim's professionalism and Karen's outburst. The post went viral locally, shared by customers who'd witnessed Karen's behavior. Comments poured in, many from former service workers who'd faced similar treatment. "Good for you, Tony's." One read, "Karen's need to learn." Karen's online tirade backfired spectacularly. Her reviews were flagged for harassment, and her social media accounts were inundated with criticism. Locals recognized her name, and stories of her past outbursts at coffee shops, grocery stores, even a dry cleaner surfaced in community forums. The twist of Sam's audio had been the spark, but the community's response was the fire. Karen's reputation unraveled, her name becoming synonymous with entitlement. Rosa, Tim, and Sam met that evening, sharing a quiet pizza in the shop after closing. Tim smiled for the first time in days, his confidence inching back. "Thanks for having my back," he told Rosa. She nodded, her eyes warm. "We're a family here. Nobody messes with one of us." But the fight wasn't over yet. Karen's next move would push them to the edge. Karen didn't stop at online reviews. Fueled by humiliation, she filed a formal complaint with the Better Business Bureau, claiming Tony's Pizzeria had discriminated against her based on personal bias. She even hired a lawyer, a slick attorney known for taking on frivolous cases. The news hit Rosa like a gut punch. She'd hoped the ban and public backlash would be enough, but Karen's persistence was relentless. The pizzeria's small staff gathered, their faces a mix of worry and defiance. Elena, ever calm, laid out their defense, the dashcam footage, Sam's audio, employee statements, and now, customer testimonials from the viral post. "She's digging her own grave," Elena said. "Her complaint doesn't hold up against the evidence." Still, the threat of a lawsuit loomed, and Rosa felt the weight of protecting her team. Tim, especially, seemed shaken, blaming himself for the escalation. "If I'd just taken it, none of this would have happened," he said. Rosa shook her head. "No, Tim. Standing up was the right thing." The legal battle unfolded over weeks, each day stretching Rosa's nerves thin. Karen's lawyer pushed for a settlement, claiming emotional distress, but Elena countered with a motion to dismiss, citing Karen's documented history of harassment. The turning point came when a local news outlet picked up the story. A reporter, Tipped off by a customer. Interviewed Rosa and Tim, airing a segment titled Pizzeria Stands Up to Customer Bullying. The segment included clips of the dashcam footage and Sam's audio, carefully edited for privacy but damning in impact. Public support surged, with customers flooding Tony's with orders and messages of solidarity. Karen's complaint crumbled under scrutiny. The Better Business Bureau rejected it, citing insufficient grounds. Her lawyer backed off, unwilling to fight a losing case. Karen's downfall was complete when her own neighbors, fed up with her antics, posted a petition online to shun her from local businesses. Over 100 signatures appeared within days. Karen's world shrank. The pizzeria's ban was just the start. Other local shops, from cafes to hardware stores, followed suit, citing their own run-ins with her. Her social media accounts went silent, her online presence erased as she faced the reality of her actions. Rosa heard through a mutual acquaintance that Karen had moved to a new town. Her house sold quietly to avoid further attention. The victory, though, wasn't about Karen's defeat. It was about what came next. Rosa used the attention to start a fundraiser for service workers, raising money for mental health resources and legal aid. Tim, inspired by the support, decided to study labor law, determined to advocate for workers like himself. Sam, now thriving in college, visited the pizzeria often, his bond with the team stronger than ever. One evening, as the pizzeria buzzed with customers, Rosa stood behind the counter, watching Tim laugh with a regular. The neon sign glowed outside, the handwritten ban notice long gone, replaced by a sign reading, "We support our staff." The words felt like a promise, one Rosa vowed to keep. The fight with Karen had been draining, but it had forged something unbreakably, a community that stood together. Not just against one woman's cruelty, but for something bigger. They turned pain into purpose, humiliation into hope. Tim caught Rosa's eye and smiled, a kid who'd faced a storm and come out stronger. Rosa nodded back, her heart full. They'd won, not just against Karen, but for every worker who'd ever been belittled, for every voice that deserved to be heard. And in that small pizzeria, under the hum of the ovens, they built a legacy of courage that would outlast any order, any ban, any storm.